introduce yourselves.
That's cool. So he visited the HQ themselves, and he's having this talk about the new MMO. This is so cool. Now, obviously, we know Ghost Crawler is in here because he had to go.
Yeah, sure. I'm VJ Tucker. I'm the EP of the MMO.
Fortunately, however, the world does have the technology to salvage the audio, and so the final result should be totally fine. Just know that it is not a studio quality. It is literally my laptop and a USB microphone in a square room. And of course, since it is...
Hey, that's not bad. USB mic and one that's like, for example, my one, 360. Anyone that talks 360 can all be heard. It's totally fine.
Hard to get some info on Riot's MMO. I tried to push them with the questions a little bit, just to see what we can learn. But I knew they wouldn't be able to talk about any specifics. So my questions had to be as broad as possible. But even so, I was still trying to walk on the edge. Sometimes you'll see the devs laughing about the fact that I am very close to the line, and 3 times it actually happened. I asked a question which had to be cut out. But the follow-up conversations were fine. So be ready for the fact that sometimes there will be some edits and cuts and it will break the pacing. But ultimately, I am pretty happy with what I was able to put together. And honestly, I had an absolute blast talking to these guys.
Awesome. Just like go one by one to like introduce yourselves.
Yeah. Sure. I'm VJ Tucker. I'm the
He has the exact same mic I do. Literally.
EP of the MMO.
I'm Mark Yenner. I'm the game design director for the project.
With Greg Fallis, art director.
And I'm Ant Reynolds-Ladai. I'm a writer. So, I might have made an oopsie. Strong start. I released the video.
It's literally the same microphone I have. It's insane. Bruh. Look. Look at that blinky, beautiful mic right here. It's the same shape, same layout, same shit. Kind of a W.
Kind of started an avalanche of hype out of nowhere.
Right here.
How did you guys take this? Was there, you know, how much damage have I caused on accident?
Not even close. We thought it was awesome. We immediately like shared it among the team. Like we watch it for inspiration as a reminder of like what player hype is for the space. Like more than anything, you raised the bar for us, which is awesome.
Yeah, we love it, but we started to sweat a bit. You know?
Oh right, yeah. Thancred made a video about how big the MMO world is, and that Riot devs themselves actually saw it. That's really cool.
So like up until that point where
They even saw Asmon's reaction to it.
we're in like a safe space where
Like the Riot CEO literally talked to Asmongold about it.
like, you know, you were kind of like fine because, you know, like people knew it was happening, but no one really
You were
took it
seriously. Yeah.
Have you actually taken any of the feedback you got so far into consideration? Like I don't know how many people really gave feedback. I mean, people did give feedback on the ML. Did you like take something into consideration already?
Yeah, we always. I think that's one of the most important things that we can do is listen to our players along the way and figure out when we should respond and integrate it in and when we shouldn't.
Right.
That's the hard part of our jobs. But definitely ignoring the feedback is us failing.
So I mean, you know, talking like you know, factions, races, stuff like that, because you probably have to have an idea and stick to it, but then you hear different opinions from other people. Is it like something that you also take into consideration, even though it might go against your basic idea? Roll these guys. Yes, sir.
You go. Like, you hear, you know, every potential player wants something, and there's, you know, hopefully millions of them, and everyone wants something different. And so it's impossible for us to give every person what they want.
Yeah.
But,
Sure.
you know, really often it's about, there's a lot of similar themes, right? And when we reduce it to the sort of core of like, what is the fantasy that people are looking for? What is the experience? We can then, you know, take that and say, what's the best version of that we can deliver? And even better, we're not just going to give people what they say they want. We're going to try and figure out how we can over-deliver. How can we get them something that blows their minds?
True.
That, like, is also, oh my God, that's exactly
Do more than what's expected of you.
what I wanted. You know, that's the dream.
It's super important. Not just giving people what they expect, or just like going, you got that, and this as well, and this. So yeah, that's really important.
That's the soul of what we're trying to do, is like ultimately like we're in service of trying to realize the dreams of our players, but that's not always exactly what they're asking for. Sometimes it is about extracting the essence. It was like, what is the magic that you're seeing that we haven't seen yet, and how do we create it? And ultimately, I personally think that's Riot's superpower, especially like with League. We see it with Valorant. We see it with our games, how we respond to players. And the one thing we definitely can't do is dunk our head in the sand until we're shit.
Yeah.
And hopefully you get a little taste of that with, Overwatch.
Yeah. Which, by the way, I saw some things. Kidding. Literally, if I turn the camera like a little few inches, I'm gonna get nuked. So do it.
Wait, they showed him some actual gameplay? Is that what he's saying?
So one thing
Pog?
that's a big topic that I don't know if you can answer is, the big old talk about like factions and races, more specifically like separating the player base, because there are some MMOs who give you the freedom of like, you can play with anyone, you can, there are no barriers. And then there are others who actually like split the community very specifically into like, maybe two parts that are battling. What's your like very vague general idea without confirming anything on like this kind of topic?
Yeah. So
So there's this perfect saying I saw in one of the, a developer doc from one of the Zelda developers, which is, you can't just deliver exactly perfect realism or whatever. You're trying to shape something that feels real, feels believable, but it's actually making the thing you want. And so like there are things that we want. We don't want, me and my best friend, we don't want people not to be able to play with each other. Obviously, that's like a bad, that's a problem. But we also want to, maybe capture the spirit and the kind of, one of the iconic elements of the League of Legends IP, where you've got this complex, factions, and there's, there's a lot of shades of gray, and there's a lot of interesting conflict, and there's a lot of, kind of ways that you or someone else might relate to different elements of it. And so we just try and take all of those factors, the things we want, the things that we want to be true in the experience or in the thematic or in the IP, and find a combination of them that like works. Yep.
All those things I love about our world, like the conflicts that are already there and the rivalries and stuff. You want to play that through. You want to see that.
But you also don't want to like lock people into like one side, I guess.
Yeah.
And that's really our
very
job.
vague, not confirming anything.
That's a perfect example because there's
I wonder when they're gonna actually show gameplay. Like at what point? Because if they show gameplay, this shit's gonna be sick.
like we talk about like 100 of these problems every day, right? It's like,
Yeah.
there's just always so many things.
I'm sure it's gonna be like a year, 2, 3, I don't know. I think it's gonna be like around a year or two, surely, right? Surely.
There's always trade-offs.
I mean, we're kinda
Just
getting
try
there.
to take the pieces together, find a way to make it work, and when we do well, you see the result, and you're like, oh yeah, that's great. I'm getting what I want, and and the game is good, and it's fun to play, or something like that.
The general talk is always about like, when the classic WoW game.
Late this year. That would be nice. I think I'm just happy if they just give us an estimate on which year. Or like, I think it'll be obvious when they show more teasers and stuff like that.
That one
It'll be more
like,
clear.
Ignited the passion for like the very old school MMOs.
Yeah.
And it's kind of interesting how when classic WoW came out,
They gotta ease us into it. I don't know if it's gonna be subscription based, right? Or it's gonna be like Guild Wars 2. Like you buy it once, you own it forever. Because if they do that, it'll be different. Because Guild Wars 2 I considered Guild Wars 2 to be different for that because it didn't have a monthly sub. I think with MMOs, right, always does FTP, true. You think this MMO is gonna be free to play? I mean, they might, I guess. And the expansions would cost money. And then you have stuff. I think it'll be free. That's kind of their thing. And then you have to stuff to buy in game 100%. Like, yeah, like they're good with that. Like look at Valorant, dude. I bet you Valorant is literally shitting money because of the skins, and they're fucking bog. They're literally insane. So it kind of makes sense for them to go down that route, actually, and they probably will. I feel. They try to reach as many people as possible, so it'll be low spec. Work on every potato out there. Yeah, they've always, like, the games they make, they always try to make sure that it works on potatoes. I don't know what it is, they just always do that. I think even with Valorant, you can play on a potato. Like, their games are actually really optimized. Like, I haven't played a single Riot game, and it's just like shit performance, shit FPS. Every game is really polished. Like, every single Valorant, my frames are always at the top, even if I play on high settings. Same thing with League. High settings, I never stutter. I never have problems. Legends of Runeterra, that's just Legends of Runeterra. I mean, it's like not even 1 gigabyte, or it's almost 1 gigabyte. It's pretty small in storage. Shouldn't affect your FPS that much. But just in general, they're very good at optimizing games. And I think with MMO, it will be the real challenge because it's an open world. And you know, in Guild Wars 2, when you do meta events in Guild Wars 2, my frames literally tank because there's so many players on the screen. So I wonder how they're gonna tackle that. But they're very good at this shit, so I'm sure they'll figure it out. And they'll make it, if they make it free to play, like, what kind of cosmetics, you know, like, what kind of cosmetics are we expecting? Like, I guess mounts, swords, daggers, or some shit. And maybe I think people will buy it because Riot is very good at this marketing thing when it comes to cosmetics. They always find a way to pop off with it every single time. And they make a shit ton of money. Like, see how much money they made just from Valorant, and it's a free-to-play game. Like, you don't even have to buy the skins. It's not pay to win. The skin doesn't give you an advantage other than feels good when you kill people with it.
It, like, once again became the king of MMOs, and, like, everyone suddenly realized that, like, all the innovations that came from, you know, the other MMOs weren't really enough to, like, you know, give the MMO genre actually more value.
Yeah.
So what I got from this general idea, you know, is like you're trying to make like a mix of like staying true to the core idea of MMOs while iterating in some ways.
I think it's really important that we look at what is working in the market and then also evolve the expectations to see where we're going. And if you look at where WoW started,
Sure.
classic MMO, I think all of us played many hours of classic WoW. And then you look at how the genre evolved over the course of post-classic WoW era, they were all chasing WoW. And so they were all looking at one specific thing and trying to make a better version of that thing.
True.
And now what we're trying to do is we're trying to say, like, okay, what went right during that period? And what has changed in the games industry and our players' expectations up until that point? And look at both of those lenses and craft something that feels like it's the...
W. See, this is... Okay, this game is going to be good. Because this is important. When you make a game, you have to look at other games, how they went about it, and how things are going to pan out. Like, what were, like, the most innovative, big changes. Like, here's an example. Overwatch. You know Overwatch? When on release and a few months... Oh, how did it get Game of the Year in 2015? It was one of the most innovative games, actually. It's heroes in a Team Fortress setting. It's never been done before, really. I mean, Team Fortress has that. But Overwatch made it better. Okay, look, I don't want to shit talk Team Fortress, but Overwatch, okay, look, Overwatch made it better, okay? Because the heroes and the identity of it, it was really unique. I'm not bashing TF2, I'm sure it's a great game. But Overwatch was big on release. Everyone and their mother played it. And now it's down the fucking gutter because people don't give a shit about it anymore. So Overwatch 2 was worthless. I'll always consider Overwatch 2 to be worthless, pointless. If we just stick to Overwatch 1, this shit would have been insane. Instead, we wasted like fucking 4 years. 4 years wasting nothing for like 3-4 years. And then we get Overwatch 2 and we basically get the same updates that we would have had for the entire 3 years. It's almost like, what were they doing this whole time? So when I see Riot Games saying that they're analyzing everything, it reminds me of the day when Overwatch released for the first time and it was insane. It was one of the biggest games ever. It was huge. It was actually huge. Now it's a former shell of what it used to be. So I hope what Riot Games does here is they really innovate on this new MMO they're making and really make it stand out. And don't lose sight of what made it great. Continuously update it. And Riot Games hasn't disappointed. I just want to be clear on this. Like, I think everyone knows this too. There hasn't been a single Riot Games game that was trash. All of them I consider to be excellent games.
the right evolution of it. So we're
That's why they're trustworthy, and I think it's important, even as a community, to look at this, because when you play the game, you want to make sure that the people are trustworthy. Can they be trusted long term? Is this shit gonna pop off? Is it gonna be dog water? Well, of course, with Blizzard, you never really know, because at the end of the day, Diablo 4 is actually a very fucking good game. But Diablo Immortal was a cash grab shitter, so there's that. You know, it's just about like how you look at it, really.
I think ultimately many people in the industry are seeing similar things, and so we're actually hoping that we can learn from some of the other games that launched.
That's huge. That's what they should do.
We do think it's going to have some changes and evolutions.
Riot never invents a genre. Exactly. They take what exists and add their twist on it. Hearthstone, Runeterra, CSGO, Valorant, Dota, League. I think gameplay-wise, it probably will be similar to an existing MMO. My money is on Tap Target. I think it's going to be Tap Target too. Yeah, I actually prefer Tap Target. It's like a fucking classic. Like, I played Guild Wars 2 that way. I played Final Fantasy XIV, obviously. And I prefer tap targeting rather than like the action RPG where it's like, yeah, I don't know. I prefer tap target. And I think they will, because he literally just talked about World of Warcraft and how he's like, they played WoW. They're going to take inspiration from WoW. Look at Yoshi P. I mean, Yoshi P did that too. Didn't he not? When he made Final Fantasy XIV, he was talking about WoW. He was talking about EverQuest. He took inspiration from the other games, and Riot Games is doing that too. That's why I feel like this game is going to fucking slap. And they're really taking their time with it. They're not on some kind of schedule. They don't got to release the thing at a certain date, at a certain time, a certain month. Nope. They're just doing their thing. And on top of that, they have their fighting game coming up. So they're doing really good with the fighting game as well. From what I've seen the gameplay so far in the fighting game, it's looking really good. Like, Riot Games is literally perfect as a company when it comes to making their new games. And they never make a bad game. Never. Except League of Legends, because everyone fucking hates League, let's be honest. Alright, I fucking hate League, but I still play it. Because, you know, fuck, I don't know. It is what it is. But, you know, it's still a good game. It's one of the most popular games. Literally, fucking years later, League of Legends is still at the top category on Twitch. Like, 10 years later. So it's still massive. It's still a W game. Even though it pisses me the fuck off. It's going to be one button specials like SF6 mod controls. It's confirmed. Wait, they confirmed that? Oh, so you don't do down, back, right anymore? You just... It's going to be like modern. Huh. That's interesting. So straight up, no motion inputs. No corner circle, no. That's interesting. Okay. And it's been confirmed. That'll be interesting to get into. I gotta see about that. Yeah, take care of yourself, Sarah.
To that formula without completely throwing it out just for the sake.
Mm-hmm. In reference to classic WoW. Oh, here we go.
Just personal take.
Here we go.
I actually love the idea that the game has dedicated servers, because one thing that happened in WoW later on is at the moment they gave us like random matchmaking and stuff like that. That was a breaking point where if you are an asshole on a server, it didn't matter really. There were never nothing really happened to you. But if you are on a dedicated server and you behave badly, people know it about you, and it kind of like forms a really cool community. But it's kind of interesting that these days, I don't think there is a single MMO that actually has this whole structure.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think marketing.
Dedicated server. Look, I'm not very smart on this, but like, what is a dedicated server exactly? Like, how is that different from Final Fantasy XIV, if we were to compare it? Like, I'm not sure what it actually really means. Huh.
Nailed it early on when we were talking about trade-offs. This is like, ultimately, you can build games in different approaches, but they have really different trade-offs about that sense of identity and the sense of community that gets created. But then when you start to commoditize human interactions, and like you're the same as any other bot that's walking by me, then you lose a lot of that. Megaserver also has some risk and approaches. We actually have an engineer that worked on Guild Wars 2 and designed a lot of the
No way! Bug!
Megaserver work. It has some of the flaws and risks in that space. And the one thing that we definitely don't want to do is...
Bro, they got someone from Guild Wars 2 working. That's sick. Dude, this is going to be sick. They know about Classic WoW. They have someone that's worked in Guild Wars 2 working with them. This game is going to be wild. It's got a really good team. Oh, it's not instance, means everyone gets to meet on the same map. Oh my god. Wait, really? Holy shit. Okay, it's gonna be massive. Dude, there's gonna be so many players on the screen though. So many players. Ooh, interesting.
Try and solve these solutions for absolutely everybody. We do want to have opinionated takes.
I'm sure they'll be able to do
some
it.
trade-offs, but a lot of that essence of community and people feeling important and actually having these interactions mattered with other
Yeah,
people.
I get where they're trying to go with this. I'm just worried about like performance issues with it. You know, if there's so many people on the screen and they're all in open world and they're all spamming abilities and shit. Like, you know, even Final Fantasy XIV, they had to have instances inside the Aetheryte main zones. Like, for example, when Asmongold started FF14 for the first time, dude, everyone's in Limsa, right? Everyone came to Limsa to the point where it was max capacity of people that can stay there. No, you. Yeah, what was I saying? I totally lost my train of thought. Yeah, have a good one, Sarah. What was I saying? All right. If the capacity on an Aetheryte is max, it will put you on a different instance. And that's the way it goes. It came to a point where Asmongold couldn't get out of the main area in Limsa because it was too congested. So, Riot Games, if they're making a dedicated service and everyone's going to be in the same area at every time and no instances, this is going to be interesting because their servers will have to handle the amount of players that show up. And imagine this game fucking blows up. Like, I'm sure they have the infrastructure to make it work because it's Riot Games. Like, they're the biggest fucking gaming company of all time. Surely they'll be able to handle it very well. Even better than other MMOs, maybe. Yeah, some games handle better than others, yeah. Yeah, there has to be a limit. Because if we're talking, like, no instances and everything's open world, I don't know how it's going to affect performance because there's just way too many players in one area. But yeah. Even Guild Wars 2 has instances, by the way. In Guild Wars 2, if a meta event fills up and there's everyone there, the game will put you in a different instance where there's less players because it just has way too many. It's filled its capacity at max, basically.
People, those are values that we're excited to chase.
Well, I'm not gonna go into like races and classes. I think that's a very much dead end that we can't really talk about. But when it comes to the world, you probably did take into consideration the scale of the world and like
Yeah, I wonder what the races are gonna be actually.
how you're gonna approach it. Are you leaning more towards like segmenting the world and kind of like play the safe route where you have a lot of open spaces, or are you ready to like round up like a piece of the content and like ship it in its entirety? You don't even have a question, you can talk about it all. What's your approach to like, you know, the world at launch?
Ultimately, one of the most important things for us is to realize the world of Runeterra that exists in our players' hearts. We are those people. Like we want to be in the world and we want to see it and we want to experience it.
Yeah.
The path for this MMO in the long term will have that full world of Runeterra realized. So for us, it's just a question of how we get there, what the steps are, whether we start small, whether we start broad. We have some takes about where we want to go, but we have our North Star of like that full version of Runeterra, and we know we're going to get there. So it's just a question of the steps along the way.
I have two more questions. One is
That's the best non-answer they could have given, yeah. That's
when it
it.
comes to Riot, they always have
Can't reveal too much, huh?
like a very specific, almost specific artistic style where it's like very stylized, very cartoony, but not exactly cartoony.
Yes.
Is it like is it something that you want to stick to in general? Do like very style rather than realistic? Is like the classic stylized style on the table for the MMO?
Hopefully I can say excuse.
I don't know what you're going to say.
We will
He's worried he's gonna reveal too much info.
be familiar, but something unique.
All right.
Familiar but something unique. Okay. I'll take that. So it's gonna be something familiar. Maybe like you guys know, for some fucking reason, Like League of Legends, and then you compare it to Wild Rift, the animations of selecting heroes in Wild Rift is actually better than it is in League of Legends. I don't know why it's like that, by the way. They need to literally take it and put it in the fucking client or something. I don't know. Maybe like how? Like we're talking about a mobile. A mobile can handle these animations. Yeah. Yeah, like even today, Missile Gun, like we still have the fucking client. Why do we still have the client? Like it just mind boggles me. You know, even in Dota, like you just go in, you press play, and it stays in the same window. Like the client thing is a very old thing. That was like season 1 shit. Like I started League of Legends in the beginning, like literally right in the beginning. I was playing on my laptop with my brother, like 2009, right? Like a real long time ago. And I remember the launcher and how it opened, and when you enter a game, League of Legends icon show up in the middle, and then, you know, it opens a new, like, you know, taskbar or whatever. I don't know why it's still like that, but, you know, it is what it is. The client is fucking trash. The old client was better. If anything, if you're gonna bring the old client back, if you are gonna bring back the old client, everything will be fine. That's just the way I see it. I play Overwatch for a while and go back to League. You really notice how bad it is. You get a feel of it, yeah. Like it's just easier to just click play and stay in the same window. It just feels right. I don't know why they're still using the client, and the client's fucking trash. It's literally fucking trash, and there's no animations on the heroes. How is this possible? Like how is a mobile game surpassing in animations? It's still mind blowing to me.
This is a place where it's a big damn shame that you can't see the stuff that he's working on, because it's so good.
Last question that I think we can talk about is how did this project start? Because usually at Riot, all the big things start as passion projects, be it, you know, Game Modes on League, EFT, really, you know, Legends of Runeterra. Well, it's all like passion projects. How did the MMO project like start?
Yeah, I started. I'm curious.
I think the fairest way to say it is that massive parts of this company have been dreaming of making this game for our players for a long time. Obviously, Meryl trolled the world by asking what.
This is a big thing he's mentioning here, because every time you'll see League fans, they tell you, "Oh man, I wish League of Legends could just make a movie. Oh man, I wish they could make an anime or a TV show." Or open world game. That's what's happening now. Because the world is massive. League of Legends, the world in itself and the lore is huge. There is so much shit. They can easily make this work and pop off. They have the world built already. They don't need to start from scratch at all, because they have everything already. Now it's just about making it work, you know?
Whether an MMO should exist, the reason I came to Riot 7 years.
Yeah, exactly, Mr. Gun. I don't know why the fuck they're separate. Valorant, you just press play and you stay in the fucking window.
Years
Pretty
ago
much.
was to make an MMO. I would say different versions of like this space, what we've been thinking about and moving it forward, have existed in all of our hearts for a very long time.
I've been
But
playing
eventually,
MMOs
I know.
before this project
Wait, let me go back.
The reason I came to Riot 7 years ago was to make an MMO. I would say
7 years ago.
different versions of like this space, what we've been thinking about and moving it forward, have existed in all of our hearts for a very long time.
I've been
But
playing
eventually,
MMOs
I know.
before this project
And honestly, eventually we just all started to get a bunch of those people together. We're like, now is the time. We gotta make that investment. And obviously, I can't tell you any dates or people, but it's been something that I think all of us have been chasing for a really long time.
And players have just been asking for it for some time.
Yeah, players have been asking for a long time. It's kind of cool they're listening to the players as well about that. Like people, the Riot Games understands that their world is massive. They know that people want to see this shit. They want to get into it. I want to jump into the world day one at launch, and I just want to explore Runeterra. The League of Legends game that I played, and the lore that I understand with Noxus and Demacia, especially Noxus. I'm a Noxus enjoyer. I'm definitely, if I could choose a faction, if they let me choose, I'm going to choose Noxus. 100%. I'm gonna be an assassin, rogue, badass, whatever it is. We're gonna be badass, and Katarina's gonna be the quest giver or some shit. I think it's gonna be sick. Like, the lore is insane
I'm just like,
already.
gotta listen to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'll be able to pick for sure. I think so. They should definitely do that. And I definitely want to pick Noxus. Yeah, dude, meeting Cat and Talon. Dude, and imagine cutscenes with Katarina and Talon. And there's like, you know how Diablo 4 has these like cutscenes that pop up as you're progressing through the story. And the cutscenes are so fucking good. I would love to have that with Cat and Talon. Or just in general with Noxus and the other characters. That'd be so hype, man. I feel like they'd really pop off with this, especially because their storytelling is already very good. The lore is already very good.
We're easily the magic when it says like MMO win.
Yeah.
One of the things I really
The only lore I don't really like is Seraphine, because it kind of felt forced just to be part of the fucking Sing Squad or whatever. I don't care about Seraphine lore. I'm not gonna lie. Like, it's just kind of meh. Everything else, though, is perfect. Everything else is really good.
do appreciate, though, like transparently speaking, is that
Who? Yeah, exactly. Who? Who the fuck is that? Yeah, I don't know. Does she belong in League? Probably not.
the thing that we know about Riot, like one of the top line values,
She's
is
a goddamn
we're not gonna
pop
ship
star.
something that's perfectly fine. And so it took us a little while to get to the point where we're willing to start Projekt, but it was waiting until we're like, okay, now we have enough with the work on lore. We have enough in terms of the right
Yep.
people that is like, now is the time to finally make this and do it right. That was the thing that held off. Is that we're like, company wasn't at the right place, the people aren't at the right place, TMP wasn't at the right place. Once we get all of those, Meryl's like, we need to do this thing. The thing that is most important to us really is that we make something that is exceptional, that is worthy of our players and the dreams that they have, and that it's okay that it takes a while.
Right.
That's the biggest risk.
Yep.
Is that we're like, hey, we're doing this thing, and people are like, it's been
It's okay.
6 months. Why haven't you shipped the thing yet? And it's like, well, I don't know. We're in service of all of you. We're in.
Look, MMOs are very hard to make. The amount of time and effort to make an entire world, and the quest and the experience and the leveling experience and the combat has to feel good and the story has to not be shit. I mean, it's so much work. I don't care how long it takes them, as long as I'm not 80 years old dying in my bed before the game fucking comes out, alright? Like, surely it's gonna come out like in a few fucking years, okay? Like, I'll be patient. I'll definitely try it out.
Service of trying to make the best thing for you, and sometimes a little fire under our asses to get it out the door isn't a bad thing.
No pressure, but the Riot MMO right now is probably the most anticipated one in the market right now.
Absolutely,
No pressure.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel
Do you think it will be like Lost Ark or like WoW FF? Definitely. I think definitely, because early on in the video, they mentioned that, you know, they played classic WoW. They played, one of them works in Guild Wars 2, and I personally played Guild Wars 2. And of course I play FF. I never played WoW, but the thing is, their team, they have experience. They already have MMORPG experience. In fact, they had Ghostcrawler before he had to leave, but he worked with World of Warcraft. So they definitely have the experience. They have the knowledge of the other MMOs. They're not just like blind to it. They understand what can make a good MMO, because these guys, like, they've seen it all. And this is what you need to do when you create a new game in a similar genre. You have to see what's your competition and how you can make this game like interesting. And Riot Games is on the right, like, they're on the right track with this. Imagine Square had to make FF14 twice. Yeah, exactly. And what's crazy is they actually made the game better. You know why? Because Yoshi P popped off. It's the simple truth. They put Yoshi P in charge of fixing the fucking game. And guess what? With his vast knowledge of other MMOs, and with his vast knowledge of World of Warcraft as well, and EverQuest, he even says that in the documentary. When that guy went in Tokyo and they interviewed him, he said that they picked the right fucking man, and he saved the game. He actually saved it. It's one of the biggest MMOs right now because of the man himself. Yep. it's really important to look at the other games and see like how are you gonna make your game pog. And Yoshi P was on the right track with it. He literally saved the game. I wouldn't be playing FF14 right now if it wasn't for him. I really hope it's third-person tap target and not isometric. I think it will be. Yeah. Like, for sure. Every game they've mentioned so far when it comes to MMOs, World of Warcraft, Guild Wars 2. I wonder if they're going to mention FF14 during this. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. I don't know. But those games I mentioned are tap target. And Guild Wars 2 has a different kind of control scheme, but it's generally tap target. I think they will. It makes sense, considering there's a Guild Wars 2 person working with them as well. I just feel like they will. I'm feeling it. And I hope so. I really hope it's tap target. It's actually what I prefer. It's the classic MMO style that I really like. Can you get an isometric view where you see the ground all the time? Yeah, I don't think it's gonna be like that. Nah. I don't think it's gonna be like that. Do you mean like action RPG style when you see the ground all the time? Is that what you mean by isometric? Like Path of Exile or Diablo 4, like that viewpoint? Ah, okay. I gotcha. Yeah, I don't think they're gonna do that, Ooga Booga. I don't think so. Like, I love Diablo for itself, but I don't want this game to be like Diablo, you know. I want like a real, just full open world, you know. I feel like they're gonna do that for sure. Actually, I'm gonna say for sure. I know I'm saying about stuff that I know nothing about right now because we haven't seen gameplay, but for sure they have Guild Wars 2 and World of Warcraft experience. For sure, it's gonna be like third-person view and tap targeting and clicking like that, because the everything they've talked about indicates that it's gonna be that way. Nothing they've mentioned is like similar to Diablo or Path of Exile. For sure, I think it's gonna be the right path. What they're doing right now is the right path.
I feel like we've got the people who are at least gonna rise to the challenge and fucking fight that fight.
I mean, you all said many times that the team is really stacked. Yeah, like you probably have veterans to like I don't know what games
Exactly.
Like, all of you worked on.
That's important.
I assume
They have veterans.
It's incredible.
It's really where are you guys?
Can you actually like say all of you like what actually
you worked on?
Yeah.
Here we
Let's
go.
see. What did you? Star Wars Galaxies, an
Damn.
unannounced MMO inside of Ensemble, Age of Empires 3, Halo Wars, Orcs Must Die, Hero Academy, Words with Friends.
Bro, he's got so much MMO experience. Bro, we're in safe fucking hands, alright? We're in safe hands, bro.
An unannounced MMO prototype inside of Riot a long time ago, Wild Rift, and then now this.
Obviously, I'm not this bad, but like, I mean, I worked on. Yeah, no kidding.
That's a time for flags, Scott.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of flags. Like, it's good. I mean, I worked on League of Legends for like almost a decade.
Yeah,
Worked on
okay.
Call of Duty before that, and
He did COD.
a bunch of, smaller, kind of AA games for a while before.
But it can't be understated how important it is to have people who like know everything about the history of our players and the IP.
Yeah.
Like that's massive in many ways, more
Exactly.
important than like a bunch of different bands.
They have experience and they know their shit. It's really important. What about him?
Oh God, many years, many different things. Yeah, it's so many. Legends of Runeterra. Let's see, Sims. I've worked on Sims for many years.
I did Sims.
Some other MMOs, some old ones, like one that eventually got out, Gods and Heroes, back in the day. And yeah, and like a number of small projects.
Right. Yeah. And most of my stuff,
Cool.
I've been here for 9 years. I was working freelance for quite a lot of years, writing books and doing things like that, doing some world building here and there for different games. And then
World
most of my
building.
background before that comes from like tabletop. So like I worked at Games Workshop, so I was a games designer and a writer and an art manager over there, and working on like Warhammer 40k, like kind of stuff. That was my sort of
Cool.
start into the industry, really.
They didn't mention any gacha games. Nice, boys. It's not gonna be pay to win. Dude.
And a writer and an art manager over there, and working on like Warhammer 40k, like kind of stuff.
Oh, he worked on Warhammer 40k. I think he said that. The subtitles are wrong because it's automated. He worked on Warhammer. That's actually really fucking sick. Damn.
That was my sort of kickstart into the industry, really.
One of the things that I love most about this team, other than the fact that they're huge dreamers and like have massive ambitions, is that everybody has had their story in the games industry, which means nobody has the chip on their shoulder. Right?
Yeah.
Everybody is like, whatever is the right thing to do for the game, whatever is the right thing to do for players. There's not conversations about ego or identity or my idea or your idea. It's just like, all right, how do we make the best?
How do we
thing?
make the game
And that is
good?
The most refreshing thing I've ever experienced on a game team. I'm surrounded by people smarter than me.
I worked in WoW, but you worked in Guild Wars too. I'm better than you. Yeah, it's none of that ego shit. I like that. They're working as a team. They're thinking about the game right now. Not about how well their game did or none of that shit. See, this is the right mentality. You need this kind of shit, man. Like, you need people that work together like this. I like this. So far, I love everything about this interview. It's fucking sick.
And that's just like the best. So cool.
This is gonna be a good game, man.
This challenge is huge.
Oh yeah. You can't get you honestly can't go bigger than MMO.
Yeah.
Like that's actually just the biggest genre.
Yeah.
You can probably tackle.
And so we put on like one of the IPs that has the most expectations.
Oh yeah.
Well,
Oh yeah.
like no pressure.
It's literally the harvest travel.
It really is.
Let's go.
Nice, dude.
Well, that was a really awesome interview where we did actually get some answers. We
got something.
More than I expected, so I really do appreciate all of you. And I'm gonna do some funny editing, and I'm just gonna cut it off so you can just say goodbye.
Bye.
Nice, bro. Okay. This is looking good. That was a good video, man. Thanks for sharing it, Al. Actual W, bro. Okay. Wow. That was good, man. I actually really enjoyed the conversation. I was really into it, actually. That was good. Yeah, I think without a doubt, this game is gonna pop off. Give that a like. That was a nice video. It was posted 8 hours ago, too. Wow. Out of all the Nintendo-based games being made, my hopes are the highest for this one. Absolutely. Absolutely, without a fucking doubt. Take Naughty Dogs. They work on different genres, platformers, shooters, survival horrors, and they nail all of them. For Team's Town, they can walk in any genre. Absolutely. That's a very good point, by the way. I didn't know that Naughty Dog devs worked on different genres, but that's really good. And I think it's important to have that level of experience from like different genres, you know, so you can pitch in your ideas. I actually think it'll be taken away, Riot fucks it up. No way in a fucking million years. I'd be very surprised. Like, here's the thing. Here's why this game's not going to be shit. Because Riot Games haven't made a single trash game. None of them are pay to win. It's all cosmetics. They will nail this. It's a big company, one of the biggest companies, and they know their shit. They're not owned like by. They're not. What's the word? They're in no time span to release the game. They never have been. Even with the fighting game, they're releasing their own time when the game's ready. When the game's ready, boom, it's out. That's it. And that's the way it should be. That's exactly how it should be. Yeah, I'm hopeful for this. I think this game's gonna be good. Can't wait to hear that. It's their work. Yeah. I know Naughty Dog made Crash Bandicoot. Yeah. They got all the jazz. You know what? We're gonna play Valorant. I'm gonna play Valorant. I'll probably do a game or two. It's 4 a.m. right now, 4:22 a.m. But I might do like one game or something. I don't know what it is. I just have this sudden, like, realization of how good Riot Games is as a company, and they are very good. As much as I like to shit on League for being the way it is sometimes, you have to admit it's still one of the biggest games. Let's actually check on Twitch. Where League is. Like, I think literally the top games are sorry, the top streams are League of Legends. Oh, here we go. High to low. Oh, look at that. 10 years later, League of Legends, Valorant. They're at the top. They're at the freaking top. What's happening in GTA? GTA is pretty damn big as well, even